Hi, this is April with Cecil County 4-H. I am here to help you correctly fill out your 4-H volunteer screening section. Once you submit your 4-H volunteer registration in 4-H Online, you also have to complete the screening section. So you'll go here and you'll go to the Continue to Screening tab. Next, you'll click on the blue button that says Show Screening. It'll open up to the screening page. You'll need to check to make sure that the information that is already filled out is correct. So you'll want to check to make sure your first name, your middle name, and your last name are correct. Moving on, anything that is in red is required to be completed. So you will need to fill out if you've had any other names, including your maiden names. And if you have never had another name, then you will just fill in NA in that section. Moving down, you'll also want to check your date of birth to make sure that that is correct. Optional in that section is the years at the current address, month at the current address, your previous address, reason for wanting to be a volunteer, and your volunteer type. Again, those are all optional and do not need to be filled out. Also optional is your volunteer experience because you completed that when you completed your initial application to be a 4-H volunteer. Next, you'll move down to the employment section. Again, that information is optional because you completed that information when you initially filled out the application to be a 4-H volunteer. Going down to the next section, transportation section, there's actually information there that is required because you see the little red required next to the information. So the first question that is required, do you currently hold a valid driver's license? You'll read that and you'll either answer yes or no to that question. The driver's license number, driver's license date, and driver's license expiration date are not marked as required, so you do not need to fill that information in. Then you'll move down to the next question, which is also marked as required. Do you have a current vehicle liability insurance? So you will either answer yes or no to that question. And finally in that section, the last required question there is, do you intend to use your personal vehicle for 4-H volunteer work, including personal transportation to and from 4-H events? So you either answer yes or no to that question. That takes us down to the next section, which is the previous screening section. The first question there is required, and it asks, have you ever had a background screening or investigation? If you have previously served as a volunteer in past years, you will answer yes to that question because we have done background screenings on you in the past for you to become a 4-H volunteer. Underneath of that, who requested or conducted the screening, the date of the most recent screening/investigation, and the purpose and reason of that screening is not marked as required, so you do not need to fill in that information. However, the next question is not marked as required. However, we do ask that you please answer that question. Did you pass the screening? So you will either answer yes or no to that question. If you have previously served as a 4-H volunteer and you have not had any other official volunteer backgrounds that have been done, you would answer yes to that question. If you've had an official background screening done for a job or another volunteer position and you did not pass that, then you would need to answer no to that and then fill in why you failed. Moving on to the next section, the legal involvement section, again, there are some questions there that are marked as required. So the first question, and you need to read these questions very carefully, are, have you ever been held responsible for an offense as described above? So if you filled in information why you failed a background screening, then you need to answer that question with a yes. Have you ever been accused of or charged with an offense involving a minor child, including a child or a juvenile? Again, that is a required question, so you will either answer that question with a yes or a no. Has any member of your current household ever been accused of or charged with an offense involving a minor child or juvenile? And again, you would either answer that yes or no. If you do answer yes to that section, then you need to fill in the name of that household member and what their relationship of the household member is to you. The next question that is asked is, have you ever been accused of or charged with an offense of domestic assault? Again, you will either answer yes or no to that question. The next required question in that section is, have you ever had a protective or no contact order issued against you? And again, you will either answer yes or no to that question. If you've ever had any legal involvement, then you will fill out that information, which includes the date the incident or offense occurred, the nature of that offense, the location of the offense, and the result or disposition. And again, you can fill in information there. Moving on, the next section is the reference section. Again, you do not need to complete this because you completed this when you filled out your initial volunteer application to be a 4-H volunteer. That brings you to the authorization for background screening. In that section, you need to read the statement very carefully, and if you agree with it, then you will type in your member's name, which is required, and then underneath of that is another statement. Again, you need to check that little box there if you agree with that information. If you do not authorize, then you will not be able to submit your form and you will not be able to serve as a volunteer. After you complete this entire section, then you will hit submit. Okay. So that is how you complete your 4-H volunteer background screening information in 4-H Online.